It starts with boredom. Not ambition, not some big plan. Just you, sitting at your desk, late at night, watching a video about passive income with crypto mining. You don't fully believe it, but you don't ignore it either, because the idea sticks. Earning money while your computer is already on. No boss, no schedule, just letting something run in the background. The next day, you check your PC specs. One decent GPU, not top tier, but not bad. You open a few forums, Reddit threads, old YouTube videos, people arguing about profits, electricity, setups. Half of it sounds confusing. The other half sounds simple enough to try. That's what pulls you in, not certainty, just curiosity. That night, around 11:40 p.m., you download your first mining software. Your antivirus flags it immediately. You hesitate, hovering over allow. This already feels a little sketchy, but you click it anyway. You follow a guide step by step. Wallet address, mining pool, config file. You don't fully understand what you're doing, you just copy what works for other people. Then you press start. Your GPU fans spin louder than usual. A steady hum fills the room. Numbers start appearing on the screen. Hash rate, accepted shares, temperature climbing slowly. You lean in, watching like it actually means something. At first, nothing happens. No money, no confirmation. Just numbers moving. You almost close it, but then you check your mining pool dashboard. A tiny balance appears. Not even $1, just a fraction. But it's real. You refresh the page. It updates again, slightly higher. You sit back in your chair. That's when it hits you. This thing is actually generating something, not a lot, but not zero either. You leave it running overnight. The fan noise becomes background, a constant low sound you pretend not to notice. In the morning, the room feels warmer. Your PC is still running. You check the dashboard again, a few dollars. Nothing impressive, but enough to feel different. You didn't trade. You didn't work. You just left it on. You make coffee and sit back down. Now you start calculating. If one GPU makes this much, what if I had two? What about three? You open a calculator, then a tab for GPU prices, then another for mining profitability. Suddenly it's not just curiosity anymore, it's possibility. You look at your PC, same setup, same room, but now it feels like something else, like it could be the start of something. You tell yourself, I'll just test it for a few days. Nothing serious, just an experiment, but deep down, you've already started thinking bigger, and that's the moment it shifts. Not when you made your first dollar, but when you realized it could scale. You tell yourself it's just a test, a few days, nothing serious, but you don't close the mining dashboard anymore. You keep it open, all the time, on your second monitor, on your phone, even at work, you check it between tasks. At first, it's just curiosity, refreshing the page, watching the balance move by tiny amounts, a few cents, then a few more. It shouldn't feel important, but it does, because it's consistent, slow, but constant. That's what hooks you. You start noticing patterns. Hash rate drops slightly when your PC lags. Temperature climbs when the room gets warm. You Google everything. What is a good GPU temp for mining? How to increase hash rate? Best mining settings for beginners. You learn new words without trying. Undervolting, power limit, efficiency. At night, you tweak settings. Lower the power, adjust the fan curve. Watch the numbers change. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. But every small improvement feels like progress. Like you're figuring something out. The fan noise is louder now. You notice it more, especially when everything else is quiet. It's not unbearable, just constant. A reminder that something is running, always. Your room feels slightly warmer too, not uncomfortable, just enough to notice when you walk in. You check your earnings again. Still small, but higher than yesterday. That's enough. You start doing the math more seriously now. Daily earnings, weekly estimate, monthly projection. You open a spreadsheet. Nothing complex, just numbers. If this keeps running, if nothing changes, if you optimize a little more, it starts to look interesting. Not life-changing, but not nothing either. One evening, a payout finally hits your wallet. Small, but real. You refresh it twice, just to be sure. It's there. You didn't sell anything, you didn't trade, you didn't talk to anyone. It just arrived. That's the moment it feels different. Not like a test anymore, like a system. Something that works if you let it run. You lean back in your chair, staring at the screen, thinking, if one GPU can do this, your eyes drift toward your desk, then your browser, then the tabs you already have open, GPU prices, used listings, benchmarks. You don't click anything yet, but you don't close them either. Because now the question isn't, does this work? You've already answered that. Now it's, how far can I take it? And that question doesn't leave your mind. You don't rush into it. At least, that's what you tell yourself. For the next few days, you just watch. Let the GPU run. Let the numbers build slowly. But your browser history tells a different story. GPU comparisons, used market prices, mining benchmarks. You start noticing things you ignored before. Which cards are efficient? Which ones people avoid? Which ones pay themselves off faster? You read arguments in forums. Some say it's still profitable. Others say you're too late. That should slow you down. But it doesn't, because your setup is still running, still earning, still proving something. One night you open your spreadsheet again. You update the numbers, adjust the estimates, lower expectations a bit, just to be safe. Then you calculate, what if I had 2 GPUs? Then 3. The numbers don't explode. They just stack. Steady. Predictable. That's what convinces you. Not huge profits, just consistency. You open a marketplace, scroll through listings, most are overpriced, some look suspicious, but then you find one, used, decent condition, fair price, not cheap, but not impossible. You stare at it longer than you should. You check your bank account, enough to buy it, but not comfortably. This isn't spare money. This is the kind of money you usually don't touch. You sit back in your chair, thinking, if it works, it pays itself back. If it doesn't, it's just a GPU. You repeat that last part again, like it makes it safer, just a GPU. You open the listing again, still there. You hesitate, then you close the tab. 5 minutes later, you open it again, same listing, same price, same decision waiting for you. Your heart beats a little faster than it should. It's not a huge risk, but it feels like one, because this is the first time you're putting money into this. Not just letting it run. You look at your current setup, still humming, still working, still earning slowly. That's what pushes you. You click buy, no dramatic moment, no excitement, just a quiet confirmation screen. Order placed. You sit there for a second, hands still, processing it. Because now it's different, now you're involved. You're not just testing something anymore, you're committing to it. Later that night, you check your mining dashboard again. Same slow increase, same steady progress, but it feels different now. Because soon, it won't just be one GPU. And deep down, you're already thinking past this one. The package arrives in the afternoon. Nothing special about the box. Just another delivery. But you don't open it right away. You let it sit on your desk for a few minutes, like it means more than it should. Then you grab a cutter and slice it open. Inside, your second GPU. Used, like the listing said. A few scratches, dust around the fans, but it looks fine. You turn it in your hands, inspecting it carefully. This is the first time it feels real. Not numbers on a screen, not estimates, hardware, something you paid for. You clean it a little, plug it in, then you pause. Because your current setup isn't really made for this. 1 GPU was easy, 2 feels different, tighter, more crowded. You adjust cables, shift your case slightly, leave the side panel open. It doesn't look clean anymore. It looks improvised. You power it on. Both GPUs spin up. The sound changes instantly. Louder, not extreme, but noticeable, constant. You launch the mining software. 2 sets of numbers now, 2 hash rates, 2 temperatures climbing side by side. You watch closely. One runs slightly hotter. You adjust the fan curve, lower the power limit, test, wait, check again. It becomes a process. Not just start and leave. You're managing it now. Your room heats up faster than before. Subtle at first, then obvious after an hour. You crack your window open, even though it's not cold, just to let the air move. You sit back down and check the dashboard. The balance increases a little faster, not double, but noticeably better. That's enough. That small difference feels big. You stay there longer than usual, watching, refreshing, comparing, making sure nothing crashes. Because now, if something stops, you feel it. You leave it running overnight again. But sleep isn't the same. You wake up once, then again, just to check your phone. Make sure it's still running. Make sure nothing overheated. In the morning, the room feels warmer than before, the air heavier. Your PC still running, fans still spinning. You check the dashboard, higher than yesterday, higher than it's ever been. You open your spreadsheet, update the numbers, adjust the projections. They look better now, not crazy, but more convincing, more worth it. You look at your setup again, open case, cables everywhere, constant noise. It doesn't look like a normal computer anymore. It looks like something in progress, something unfinished. You tell yourself you'll clean it up later, make it more organized, more efficient. But deep down, you already know this isn't the final setup. This is just the beginning of it. Because now one thing is clear. It works better when you add more. And that thought is starting to stick. You don't think about electricity at first, not seriously. You saw people mention it. You even read a few comments about power costs. But it never felt immediate. Not like buying the GPU did. That was real. That was money leaving your account. Electricity feels delayed, abstract, something you'll deal with later, so you keep going. Both GPUs running, day and night, fans spinning non-stop, your room always slightly warm, you get used to it. The noise becomes background, the heat becomes normal. Even the habit of checking your dashboard feels routine now. Wake up, arrow check balance. Come home, arrow check temps. Before sleep, arrow quick refresh. It's part of your day. Then the email comes. Your electricity bill is ready. You don't open it right away. No urgency. You assume it'll be a bit higher. Nothing crazy. Later that night, you click it. The number loads, and you pause. Not shocked, not panicked, just quiet. Because it's higher than expected, noticeably higher. You scroll down. Compare it to last month, then the month before that. There's a clear jump. No confusion, no mystery. You already know why. You lean back in your chair, staring at the screen. Then you open your mining dashboard, look at your earnings, then back to the bill, then back to the earnings. You don't need a calculator, but you open one anyway, just to be sure. You subtract, estimate, round numbers, try to make it look better. It still works. Technically, you're still ahead, but not by much. Not like it felt before, not like it looked in your head. You sit there for a while, thinking. Because this changes something. Before, it felt like passive income. Now it feels like a system. Input, output, cost, return, and suddenly, you're paying attention to both sides. That night, you don't tweak for more performance. You tweak for efficiency, lower power, lower heat, lower noise. You watch the hash rate drop slightly. It bothers you, but not as much as the idea of the next bill. You open more tabs. How to reduce power usage mining. Best efficiency settings. GPU mining. Profit after electricity mining. Now you're not just chasing more. You're trying to keep what you make. The next morning, everything is still running, still stable, still earning. But it feels different. Less exciting. More calculated. You update your spreadsheet again. Add a new column. Electricity. Now the numbers look tighter, more realistic, less impressive. You stare at them for a second, then close the file. Because even with the new reality, you're not stopping, you're just adjusting, and that might be the bigger shift. Because now you're not chasing easy money anymore. You're trying to make the system work, and once you start doing that, it's harder to walk away. At some point, you stop shutting it down, not intentionally, it just happens. One night you think, I'll let it run a bit longer. Then the next night, the same thing. Until eventually, your PC is never really off anymore. It's always on, always running, always working. You start planning your day around it. Not in an obvious way, just small adjustments. You avoid restarting your computer. You delay updates. You hesitate before launching anything heavy, because you don't want to interrupt the mining, even for a few minutes. That's lost time, lost earnings. You begin thinking in hours. How much does 1 hour make? Then, how much do I lose if I stop it? It's not a lot. but it adds up in your head, more than it should. At night, the fan noise feels louder, not because it changed, but because you're more aware of it, that constant hum in the background. It follows you, even when you're not looking at the screen. You wake up sometimes, not fully, just enough to check your phone. Open the dashboard, make sure everything's still running. Temps are fine, hash rate stable. Then you go back to sleep, like checking on something alive. Your room stays warm, even when the window is open, even when the air moves. There's always that slight heat, like something is always working. Because it is, you start noticing small things. If the hash rate dips for a second, you catch it. If a share gets rejected, you see it. If the temperature spikes, you react immediately. You're not just running it anymore, you're watching it, constantly. One evening, you sit down to relax, open a video, but your eyes keep drifting. Back to the dashboard, back to the numbers. You refresh, without thinking, again and again. Not because something changed, just to see it move. That's when you realize something quietly. You're not just mining anymore, you're monitoring, tracking, optimizing, thinking about it even when you're not in front of it. You open your spreadsheet again, adjust numbers, recalculate timelines. How long to break even now? How much if I add one more GPU? You close it, then open it again 10 minutes later, because the question won't leave. The system is running in your room, but it's also running in your head now. Always active, always calculating, always asking, what's the next step? And the answer is getting clearer. Not because you need it, but because you want to push it further. Even if you don't say it out loud, you've stopped treating this like a side experiment. This is something else now. Something you check before anything else. Something you think about constantly. Something you don't want to interrupt. Because the moment it stops, it feels like you're falling behind. It doesn't happen all at once. There's no big announcement. No moment where you say, I'm going all in. It's quieter than that, more gradual. You start by reopening the same tabs, GPU listings, benchmarks, profit estimates. But now you're not just browsing, you're comparing seriously. Price per performance, power consumption, return over time. You already know how it works. You've been running it for weeks, watching it, optimizing it, living with it. That's what makes this different. You're not guessing anymore, you're convinced. One evening you sit down with your numbers again, spreadsheet open, electricity included this time. More realistic, more grounded. You calculate what a larger setup would look like. 6 GPUs, maybe 8. The numbers don't look insane, but they don't look safe either. It's a stretch. You check your savings. Not a lot, but enough to try. If you commit, you sit there for a long time. No music, no distractions, just numbers and silence. Because this isn't like the first upgrade. That was small, manageable. This changes things. You won't just be trying something anymore. You'll be depending on it, at least partially. You lean back, thinking. If it works, it scales. If it scales, it pays back. You repeat that logic over and over until it starts to feel solid, stable, safe enough. You open the listings again. This time you don't hesitate as long. 1 GPU becomes 2, then 3, then more. Not in one click, but over a few hours. Different sellers, different tabs. Each purchase feels slightly easier than the last. By the time you're done, you sit back and look at your order confirmations, multiple emails, multiple charges, more money than you planned to spend. You don't feel excited, not really, just committed. That's the word, committed. A few days later, the parts start arriving. Boxes stacking up in your room, cables, GPUs, adapters, things you didn't even know you needed before. You spend hours setting it up, not clean, not perfect, just functional. A frame on your desk, GPS lined up, wires running everywhere, power strips full. You double-check everything before turning it on, because now, a mistake actually matters. You press the power button, fans spin up, all of them, at once. The sound hits first, louder than before, not background anymore. Present, constant. Then the heat, faster this time, more noticeable. You open the software, watch each GPU come online, one by one. Hash rate climbing, higher than you've ever seen it. You stare at the screen, not smiling, not celebrating, just watching. Because now this isn't a test. This is a setup, a system, something you've built. something that costs you every hour it runs, and something that needs to work. Because now, you're not just curious anymore, you're invested. At first, nothing feels wrong, everything is running, all GPUs online, fans steady, temperatures under control. Your setup is loud now, always present, but stable, that's what matters. You open your dashboard like usual, morning check, numbers moving, balance increasing, but something feels off. You don't notice it immediately, just a small difference. The daily estimate looks slightly lower, you assume it's normal. Fluctuations, you've seen people mention that, so you ignore it. Later that day, you check again. Still running fine, but the numbers haven't moved the way you expected. Not broken, just slower. You refresh. Wait. Refresh again. Same pattern, you open your spreadsheet, compare yesterday to today. There's a drop. Not huge, but clear. You lean back in your chair, thinking. Maybe it's just today. You leave it. That night, before sleep, you check again. Still lower. Now it's harder to ignore. You open more tabs, mining forums, Discord channels, people talking, same thing. Earnings down today. Difficulty just went up. Network hash rate increasing. You read quietly, scrolling through messages, trying to understand. The words make sense. More miners leads to more competition, leads to less reward. Simple, but it doesn't feel simple. Because now it's affecting you. You open your dashboard again, stare at the numbers, then your electricity estimate. That hasn't changed. Same cost, same constant draw. You do the math again, slower income, same expense. The gap gets tighter. You feel it immediately. Not panic, but pressure, a subtle shift, like something that was stable, isn't anymore. The next day it drops again, slightly, but enough to notice. Now you're checking more often, not out of habit, out of concern, watching every change, every dip, trying to understand if it's temporary or the start of something. You tweak settings again, try to squeeze more efficiency, lower power, adjust clocks, but it doesn't fix the core problem, because the problem isn't your setup, it's everything around it. That night, the noise feels louder, not because it changed, but because now you're thinking about what it costs, every hour, every minute. You look at your rig, all those GPUs, all that heat, all that power, and for the first time, you question it. Not the idea, not completely, just the timing. You refresh your dashboard again, watch the balance move, slower than before, and a thought settles in quietly. It worked when you started, it even worked when you scaled, but now it's changing, and you don't control that. Don't. You stop checking out of curiosity. Now you check out of concern. First thing in the morning, before coffee, before anything else. Dashboard, numbers. Same question every time. Is it still worth it? Some days, barely. Some days, not really. The difference isn't huge, but it's enough. Enough to stay in your head all day. You open your spreadsheet again, adjust the numbers, lower expectations, again. You try different scenarios. What if prices go back up? What if difficulty drops? You're not calculating profits anymore. You're calculating possibilities, trying to justify staying in, because walking away feels harder than continuing. The rig keeps running, loud, hot, constant. But now every sound reminds you of cost. Every hour feels heavier. You start turning it off sometimes, just for a break. At first, it feels wrong, like you're losing progress. But then you notice something strange. Nothing really changes. You're not missing much. That thought sticks. One evening you sit down and open a marketplace, not to buy, to check prices. Used GPS, the same ones you bought, listings everywhere, some cheaper than what you paid, some not selling at all. You scroll slowly, realizing something you didn't think about before. You're not the only one. Other people are exiting, at the same time. For similar reasons, you lean back in your chair, the rig humming behind you, heat still filling the room, and you finally ask yourself the question you've been avoiding. If I started today, would I do this again? You don't answer right away. You just sit there, thinking, because now you see everything clearly. The setup, the cost, the time, the constant attention, the mental space it takes. It was never just leave it running. It was always more than that. You stand up and look at the rig, all those GPOs, all that effort, still working, still generating something, but not what you imagined, not what you expected. You turn back to your desk, open your dashboard one more time, watch the balance increase slightly, then you close it. Not because it stopped working, but because you already understand it, and that understanding changes how you see everything. It's late again, not as late as before, but quiet enough, the kind of quiet where you notice everything. The room feels cooler now, not cold, just normal. You sit at your desk, your PC is on, but it sounds different. Or maybe it's just quieter, because most of it is gone. The extra GPS aren't there anymore. The frame, the cables, the constant heat. All of it slowly disappeared over the past weeks. Not in one decision, not in one day, just piece by piece. One GPU sold, then another, each time telling yourself, I'll keep one. Just in case. Now you're back where you started. One GPU, same desk, same setup. You open your browser, out of habit, not expectation. The mining dashboard is still bookmarked. You click it, it loads. Same interface, same numbers, slowly moving, just like before. You watch it for a few seconds, then you close it. No urge to refresh, no need to calculate. That part is gone now. You lean back in your chair, thinking, not about profit, not about scaling, just about how it actually felt. Because it wasn't what you imagined. It wasn't passive. It wasn't set it and forget it. It was noise, heat, constant checking, adjusting, thinking about it even when you weren't in the room. It gave you something, a bit of money, a system to understand, but it took something too. Time, attention, space in your head. You open Twitter, scrolling without thinking, and then you see it. A post. Thinking about starting crypto mining. Worth it? Replies start loading. Different opinions, different experiences. Some say yes, some say no. You read a few, then you stop. Because you already know your answer, you don't type anything, you don't reply, you just keep scrolling. Your PC sits quietly next to you, not working overtime, not heating the room, just there, normal again. And that's when it becomes clear. It was never just about the money, it was about chasing something that looked simple. Until you lived it. You glance once more at your setup. Same place, same machine, but a completely different perspective, because now you understand it fully, not from videos, not from forums, from experience, and that changes how it feels, more than any number ever did.